Today FM.
It all happens here.
Today FM.
Last time we spoke to our next guest, she had accidentally hit a hammerhead shark on the head, made friends with some birds, and was planning on having a little drink on board her boat, Millie. Munster Technology University lecturer Karen Weeks is aiming to be the first Irish woman to row the Atlantic solo, and she's on the line now from somewhere in the Atlantic. Morning, Karen.
Hi, how are you? How's things?
We're great. We're awful worried about you. Can you see Storm Eunice?
Do you know what? It's gas. I'm out here now, and the waves are. It's fairly big seas around me today, and I'm cruising along. It's day 74, but we're very, very close to Barbados. We're 379 nautical miles from Barbados, so we've 2,700 nautical miles done. So hopefully we'll be in Barbados next week. That's the plan.
I was just about to ask you, so how long does that feel like then? Will you think it'll be another 10 days or so?
Hopefully not even that long, really, to be honest. I'd hate to put a time on it because it's just the Atlantic keeps throwing curveballs at me. But definitely next week I would hope to be back on land.
Wow.
And it'll be great. You asked me the last time, was I missing people? And I was there, no, but I am now.
Well, actually, last time we spoke to you, Karen, you were waiting for the trade winds to kick in so they would give you a little whoosh along. How has the actual physical rowing side of things been?
Well, that's what sort of slowed me up is those trade winds never did kick in. So at the moment, like all morning now, this morning, I've been rowing alongside waves, so waves are coming from my left down to my right, and they're basically northeasterly waves now. So the northwest wave train, which brought waves down from the northwest, were meant to go over to the east and come over, and whoosh me west, but they never happened. So I'm actually rowing across the waves now. They're all heading to Venezuela. I should have really located to finish in Venezuela. But so the wind and the waves now are at the moment currently northeast, so it's just that's what sort of really slowed me up. And other solo rowers that are heading to Antigua, and it's frustrating at times, but you know what, I have no choice, so you just have to sort of suck it up and just keep on rowing. Isn't that all you can do?
Well, I suppose, yeah, when you set yourself the challenge to row, solo across the Atlantic and as you said, do 3,000 nautical miles, you have to run into some difficulties, and if it's northeasterly waves, then maybe if that's the biggest thing you're going to encounter, then maybe you'll be doing all right.
Yeah, it's gas though, because those waves, like I've had a little sample of those waves, and surfing down them is just pure pleasure. It's just pure pleasure, and that's why a lot of people, well, including myself, do this row, because you get about 1,000 nautical miles of just pure surf.
Right.
And so I'm not going to get that, but that's fine. I have to deal with what I have. But surfing, my samples of surfing down the waves has just been, it's just been phenomenal. Like, you're at the top of a wave, and there's sort of turquoise at the top of the water, and those white sort of quits at the top of the wave, and then you just cruise down these big old waves. And I got 13.6 knots the other day, which is pretty fast, I have to say.
Certainly is.
A little bit frustrated that I'm not getting more of that, because that would have been just, I would have been spoiled with it,
Yeah, and always fascinated by the mental resilience that something like this takes. You're a sports psychologist yourself. Which ones of your own tools and techniques have you been using, and how important have those letters we heard about been to you?
Yeah, well, the letters have been great. Yeah, they were friends of mine wrote letters. I when I'm working with clients, I usually just say to them, if they're going up Everest or K2 or doing something like, away from people, is to get like 5 or 6 people, their loved ones or family or whatever, to write a letter just to them and just make it a bit personal and whatever. They could just open them at times of tough times and whatever. So my 2 right-hand crew members here, Suzanne and Orla, they arranged, I'd asked about 5 people, would they write me a letter, and I ended up with 2 dry bags full of letters from friends. Shun and Orla just got loads of people to write letters, so I've had, and that's been really helpful. But I think one of the things that you just, especially with this crossing, that you just cannot do without is patience, and you just have to try and strategize that you can just be patient and not get frustrated if things aren't going your way. I think that's the main key for me crossing the Atlantic anyway. A lot of trust required in terms of trusting the weather, trusting your own ability, trusting your own mental strength. How do you tap into that when you're
in those moments of frustration?
I think, and I think, yeah, you're right about the trust thing, but the trust thing for me is I can't really trust the weather because it just has thrown me so many curveballs on this trip. It's just been ridiculous. It's just been crazy. But what I can trust, and I do trust, and I think it's really important, is the boat. Millie, named after my mum, is the name of the boat, and the boat is just, I trust her 100%. She's built for this stuff, you know. And even when I was cruising down the waves and even going careering down waves out of control at times, I just fully trusted the boat, and that gives you a bit of calm in your head, you know. And I think also just to trust my own ability as well, because I didn't come into this green, if you know what I mean. I suppose I've done other stuff before, so building those layers of resilience and building those layers of mental toughness. Like some people talk about grit and determination, and I don't really think it is that. I think it's more mental toughness. It's more layers and layers of resilience that have built up over time. And you know, one of the things that I know I've built up on this is like the Atlantic sort of strips you down, and then you're starting to build yourself back up again. It'll strip you down again, build that up again, and that's again building onto those layers of resilience, I think.
And have they built up through, as you said, years of doing things, not coming in green, years of achieving difficult things? Has that been the source of this resilience, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And I think too, you know, when we were small, our parents were great. They let us off and out you go and mess around in that kayak or mess around in that boat, or you know, go on the bike up and down sandy piles. You know, we weren't overly protected. You know, we were looked after obviously, but we were allowed to explore and we were allowed to try different things. And if we fell and if we cut ourselves, how bad, you know? And I think even from I suppose my early years, that resilience has built up over time, and then building on that then has been the more dedicated long distance endurance journeys. I think that, and because you go into your head so deeply and into your body so deeply, those layers are built up over time then during those experiences. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And speaking of the body, how is your body? Have you lost weight, or what happens to your body when you're doing a crossing like this?
Yeah, it's actually, that's a really good question, because I've lost a bit of weight. I haven't lost massive amount of weight, but I certainly have lost a bit. But the muscle wastage is the thing that's really sort of freaking me out a bit. Because if you think about it, like, I train a lot. I love training, and I'm in the gym all the time, and I'm on the mountain bike all the time. But my gastrocnemius, the calf muscle, my calf muscles are totally gone. Absolutely totally gone. My quads, I'm using my quads for rowing, the thigh, you know, in your thigh area, and but they've really depleted as well. And I think nothing is weight bearing, you know. And I think walking and running and biking is going to be a challenge, because I literally have been sitting, like, you obviously stand to get from the cockpit into the cabin or whatever, but I have been sitting for 74 days. It's unbelievable, you know. So I think those things are the main things, really. And also, like, your hands obviously have big calluses on them and everything like that, but that's probably they're war wounds, aren't they?
Yeah, well, and a question I never thought I was going to ask you, Karen, but how's your bum? If you've been sitting for 74 days, is that comfortable?
Yeah, do you know what? I did a lot of research into other rowers, and so many rowers end up with big boils and end up on antibiotics and stuff because of down at their rear ends and their nether regions. So what I did was I brought 3 different types of seats, and there's a honeycomb seat, which is actually used for people in wheelchairs. You know, it sort of gives, every time you move on the rowing seat, then it sort of gives you, there's like little air bubbles, I suppose, in it. And yeah, so my backside has been perfect. I can't believe it. But I have been minding it right since day one. So, like, I row on that honeycomb seat, and then every single time I come into the cabin, I wipe it down with bamboo wipes, which are biodegradable wipes, but it's pure fresh water, you know, so just to get rid of the salt. So I think that effort has sort of saved my ass.
Literally.
I noticed that when you're talking about your journey, a lot of the time you use the phrase, the word we. But I mean, it should be pointed out, it's just you and your boat, Millie. Is that a thing you do on purpose to kind of give the sense of less solitary confinement, or what do you mean when you say we all the time?
Oh yeah, that's interesting actually. Because I didn't even know I did that. That's the truth. But somebody said that to me about my cycles before, because solo cycles I chat about we, and they say, so who was with it? I'd say no, it was just me. But me and the boat, I guess, or me and the bike.
Yeah, it's
We're a team,
interesting.
yeah.
Do you ever think of things like, maybe, I don't know how spiritual you are, but could it be coming from a sense that you're not alone on these big voyages?
I would be spiritual, I suppose, to a degree, for sure. And I think hopefully there'll be some people close by, in the spirit world, whatever. But that's not where the we comes from. The we is definitely me and the boat.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, as you said, so next week you expect to hit land. God, given the calves and the quads, will you be able to even walk when you get there? We don't know. But next week you will touch down in Barbados.
So hopefully that's the plan. Yeah. I just, with this trip, I just don't want to say things in case they don't happen.
Yeah, of course.
But 30 of my family and friends are coming out on Sunday. They fly out Sunday, so they are going to just get a couple of days, brush up on the tan and find the good bars and all that sort of stuff. So they're going to get a boat to come out and meet me and stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing them.
God, that'll be so emotional.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
Well, hopefully they'll find you a really comfy bar stool. Although I'd say, by the sounds of things, you'll probably stand just for the change. Karen, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Stay safe. We're so proud of everything you've done. First Irish woman to row the Atlantic solo, and it's nearly within your grasp. So keep going, and we're rooting for you here back in Ireland.
Thanks a million. And just if I could just mention that if people want to donate, we're doing it in aid of Laura Lynn and the RNLI. So if people want to donate, they can go on to the SheCanDo2021.org page, and there's a GoFundMe tab on there. And they can also follow the updates on all the social media platforms.
Amazing. At SheCanDo2021. Thanks, Karen. Lovely to talk to you.
Thanks a million, guys. Appreciate it. Fair play to you.
See you later. Bye.
Dermot and Dave.
Weekdays from 9 a.m. Today